There's shock and outrage following major changes to WrestleMania 42. Plus, an AEW star breaks their silence amid rumors of a WWE signing. And has the main event of Money in the Bank been revealed? It's all in the Cultaholic wrestling news right now. Whoa, whoa, WrestleMania, what is going on? That's what we want to know this morning. This all started rumbling away last night, didn't it, Andrew?
It sure did. Right, WWE WrestleMania 42 was officially scheduled to take place at the Caesars Superdome in New Orleans, Louisiana on April 11th and April 12th, 2026. But those plans have indeed been changed. The Greater New Orleans Sports Foundation has told WrestleNomics that WrestleMania 42 will no longer be taking place in New Orleans. They will instead host WWE Money in the Bank 2026 and a future WrestleMania.
The statement goes as follows. The Greater New Orleans Sports Foundation and New Orleans and Company are working closely with our friends at TKO to expand our long-standing partnership, which will include UFC 318 on July 19th, 2025, Money in the Bank 2026, and WrestleMania, which will move from the currently scheduled 2026 timeframe to a future year. WWE representatives then confirmed to Fightful Select's Sean Ross Sapp that indeed New Orleans will not be hosting WrestleMania 42 next year, as announced by The Rock earlier in the year. Now, in terms of why this pivot is happening, it's believed from numerous sources that the decision could be down to infrastructure issues, as well as issues with funding, with security, possibly facility availability as well. Of course, New Orleans has got history hosting WrestleMania. They hosted Mania 34 in 2015.
Yes.
That lovely Mardi Gras
That's the thing.
set.
I was so excited for the Mardi Gras set again.
Yeah, it was so lovely. So they have done it in the past, but it's 10 years since that happened, and the offering that is WrestleMania has changed exponentially since then. It's now a 2-night event. It's a week-long event with more and more indie promotions that descend upon the city. It changes the whole outlook. You'll also have, you'll have the SmackDown after, the Raw, the SmackDown before, the Raw after. They attempted the NXT after this time round as well. The events that go on through the night as well. Whereas I'm pretty sure if I remember, I mean, if you were in New Orleans for Mania in 2015, I remember that obviously you had Mania itself, which is a big one-night extravaganza. You had a concert with Elias on Bourbon Street.
Wow, that's kind of cool.
But in the grand scheme of things, outside maybe a Raw or a SmackDown, not a lot else in comparison to what the host city of WrestleMania now gets.
It's changed a lot, hasn't it? I mean, wrestling as a whole, within the 10 years, feels like it has also grown quite exponentially in itself too. So yes, you're right. Like, the WrestleMania experience now isn't necessarily just a day, it's a whole entire, well, even a week at some points as well, you know? Like, that whole entire week is just filled with, as you said, like, loads of different wrestling happening within the city.
And with that, obviously, fans have to really plan ahead to make sure that they get everything in place for that. And Cultaholic this morning have heard from quite a few frustrated wrestling fans who have already pre-booked flights, paid for accommodation to be in New Orleans for those 2 dates, April 11th and April 12th, and are spending their Friday morning fighting to get refunds from either the airline company or the company that they book their stay with. And I imagine we probably just have a handful of people who are in that situation. I've seen lots of people upset online that were based in and around New Orleans, hoping to attend their first WrestleMania or their first one in a while, and all of a sudden, not going to be the case. It's no longer going to be on their front door. Fightful Select adds some more details from behind the scenes within WWE and the industry as well.
Yeah, they do. They say, upon hearing the news, many WWE employees, staff, and talent were shocked. One talent noted that they were surprised to see this past year's WrestleMania announced so late, with it being early May 2024. Now, with next year's not being announced officially as of yet, this puts it at one of the latest announcements for Mania in recent memory. There was immediate frustration within the industry. A number of sources indicated that WrestleCon had already signed their venue contract for New Orleans. We haven't been told of any other promoters that had already signed deals, but it has been normal practice to start negotiating for venues almost a full year ahead.
A lot of companies will travel to the US from around the world to put on shows. in the host city. So I wouldn't be shocked if GCW already had those conversations with venues in New Orleans.
You'd
and
imagine
those
so,
balls
wouldn't
rolling.
you?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, for sure.
You'd have thought so, because they always have a lot of stuff going on during that week as well. Speculation as to where WrestleMania would go next began soon after this announcement. Lots of places in the States that were talked about, possibly New York, New Jersey, possibly Indianapolis as well. Two international locations kept coming up, one being the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and one being the United Kingdom. Lots of discussion on both of those. There was some reports of a major money deal being offered for WrestleMania, which led to many people seeing major money, thinking it's Saudi Arabia.
Yes. Yeah.
But Saudi Arabia are hosting the Royal Rumble in January, and as much as, the company really enjoys, bags of money, I think if they were to host the Rumble and then WrestleMania both in Saudi Arabia, I don't think that would fly.
I agree. That was sort of my thought as well. I think if they were going to have one, I don't think they'd have necessarily both of them within the same year, at least anyway.
And also, I think maybe having two of their biggest shows, the first two big shows of the year being held in international waters, might not do as well. Obviously, with Wembley, you've kind of got a few tournaments in football that sort of wrap up around April time, so that's why we were going Wembley Stadium. You never know. The Mayor of London might get a bigger championship this time. maybe. But it seems that is not going to be the case, as it appears that WrestleMania is likely staying stateside, with WWE heading back to Las Vegas for the second year in a row. NOLA.com claiming that industry official has told them that TKO leadership decided, quote, they would rather hold next year's event in Las Vegas and see what response they get from fans. I think ka-ching, really.
Yeah, me too. I mean, and it seems like the sort of thing that we always hear when pay-per-view or premium live event happens, we're always like, oh, it's the biggest gate, they've made the most money, they've broken records, this, that, and the other. But we were talking just before we started filming the news, and I was a little bit confused as to why maybe New Orleans isn't hosting WrestleMania, but then you sort of made a very good point that money will be a huge factor, of course, to that. And Las Vegas seems like the kind of place that would fork out the big bucks to have WrestleMania within their city again.
So not just a location change as well, but also a date change. Mike Johnson of PW Insider reporting that Las Vegas is a deal that's looking likely, and it will see WrestleMania held once again in Vegas on April the 18th and April the 19th, as opposed to the original dates of April 11th and April the 12th. So it seems not only are we getting a new location for WrestleMania, but we're getting a week later as well. Ooh. So they're moving it around again. So, I mean, again, something else that we will have to battle with in terms of changing flights and accommodation. It's a new date as well. If you book time off with work, you might have to go to your boss and say, actually, I need some different time. We're going to keep an eye on this one, I reckon, by the end of today, or possibly, because we've got SmackDown tonight. I reckon they'll probably make some sort of announcement on it on SmackDown.
Yeah, probably.
They won't leave this one hanging in the air, I don't think.
I think that's it. You kind of want to reveal it as soon as possible so people can start getting the plans together, because as mentioned, it's quite late at this point, isn't it?
Very late in the day.
A WrestleMania announcement as to where it's going to be hosted next.
And this will end up being the 6th time that WrestleMania's been hosted in Vegas, twice at Trump Plaza.
Yes.
Once in Caesars parking lot at WrestleMania 9.
Come on.
And then last year and then this year. So Vegas, and with mixed results. When we know more about it, we'll let you know more at Cultaholic.com. In other news, whatever happened to Mariah May?
Well, we haven't seen her on AEW TV since she got her Hollywood ending with Tony Storm, and what an ending it was. With her AEW contract reportedly coming up, there's been rumour, obviously, and innuendo. We've spoken about it quite a lot on the news, about a jump to WWE. May has broken her silence online, quote tweeting a photo with the caption, "People will ask, whatever happened to Mariah May?" Responding saying, "God forbid a girl takes a vacation." Now on Instagram a few hours ago, she shared a gallery that contained a lot of her AEW moments in it, captioning, keep up.
Keep up. So, I mean, that would suggest to me that potentially she's keeping people guessing.
Yeah.
Maybe she's re-signing.
Maybe so. I think there's still plenty of stories to tell. I know a lot of people, and that match that she had with Toni Storm did feel like, with the whole end thing on the Tron, felt like a very good full stop for her, perhaps, if she did want to move on to other things. But I think there's a lot of stories still to tell in AEW. And now that Mina's signed full as well, like, just get them two back together.
Get them two together. Speaking of getting people together, a possible big 6-man tag main event for Money in the Bank today, Andrew.
Yeah.
That's what we're talking about. You'll see why he's reacting like this in a moment.
We've talked about Travis Scott getting into the ring a few times on the news videos with speculation of a tag team match alongside one Cody Rhodes. PW Insider reports that, to their understanding, creative is being pitched for Travis Scott to be part of Money in the Bank. Creative circles believe Scott will be available for the show and has continued training on and off at Booker T's school in Texas. Now, PW Insider reports, right? Hold your horses, strap yourself in, everybody. A pitch for a potential 6-man tag at Money in the Bank would have seen Logan Paul teaming with Cena and Travis Scott, presumably against the Usos and Cody Rhodes. Whether WWE goes in that direction remains to be seen.
A 6-man instead of a 4-man.
Yeah.
Intriguing process. It does mean that the Logan Paul Jey Uso feud may rumble on a little more.
Just for a little bit longer. I don't know if for a 6-man tag to have more people in that match, so, you know, if Travis wants to sort of like stand on the side a little bit, so it doesn't
have a little sleep like Dennis Rodman did.
Yeah, I think a 6-man sort of may work in his favor, depending on where he is within his training of wrestling at the moment. But this isn't necessarily a match I want to see at all, Tom.
Well, I think if you're going to do it, I think why don't you really make it like an all-star celebrity tag match? If you're going in, hear me out.
I'm hearing.
John Cena.
Yep.
Travis Scott.
Yep.
Logan Paul. John Cena.
Mm-hmm.
So those three. Against John Cena. Can't see him twice. Cody Rhodes.
Yeah.
Bad Bunny.
Yeah.
Jay Leno.
Jay Leno. I thought you were going to
put an arm drag onto John Cena, like I did at Hogwarts to Hogan.
I thought you were going to say Stephen Amell then.
Stephen Amell.
Now you said Jay Leno. Come on. Conan O'Brien.
So I've been watching a lot of old school Nitro for the Cultaholic Classic Nitro review. So that's on my mind. That's on my mind at the moment. For the very latest wrestling news at any time, you can check out cultaholic.com. Keys.
I love you. Bye.